Welcome to the Cannabis Babes podcast, where we interview cannabis babes from all around the world. This week's episode brings us to San Diego and back to Verge, where we get to meet owner Jory Wolf's wife, Maren, who, after 25 years of adderall usage, is now only using Verge. Okay, babes, we are here with Maren Wolf, who has been struggling and taking Adderall for 25 years to help treat her ADHD that at 21 put her in what the doctors thought was a deep depression. So it wasn't necessarily depression. Maren, please tell us your journey with ADD and then how Verge has really helped you, including now get off your Adderall after 25 years.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. I have had ADHD, I think my whole entire life, but they finally understood what my symptoms were when I was 21. And they put me on Adderall, which did change my life in a way because I finally could kind of slow down and do what I needed to do. Now, 25 years later, you know, medicine doesn't work as well after you take it for a really long time. And I don't even feel that it was working as well for me. So I kind of was looking for a whole, you know, something a little more natural as an alternative for my Adderall. And I hadn't found anything for a while. And then until my husband actually went searching and on a hunt, and we found this amazing part of the hemp plant that could be extracted and really help with focus and clarity. So it's like the other end of the hemp plant, you know, whereas people assume one hemp plant is like, oh, relaxing. And this side is like more like focus and clarity. So it's just really cool. So we started to kind of like work our way into that and try that out and see what it did for me. And I realized it definitely worked. So I decided once we got our little pills and little capsules and water soluble that I would start to wean myself off of my Adderall because I really didn't feel like it was working as well as it should anymore anyway. And it's been a process about 6-7 months of taking both. And then recently, about a month ago, I was like, okay, my Adderall was out. I was done. The pharmacies were out of it. Everybody was out of it. I'm like, this is the perfect time for me to say, let's just go all natural. So I did. I started with the Verge. I was so excited to know that I could do the things that I normally do. Like yesterday, going and working out and doing a really hard workout class would have intimidated me completely without my Adderall. But I did it, and I worked my butt off, and it was awesome. It was a great 45-minute workout. So there's little things that I'm like, oh my God, I can do this. I can do this without it, and I don't need it anymore. And I'm getting everything I need from Verge, which is the most amazing revelation. I'm so excited that I can actually take this stuff, take it in the afternoon and still be functional and then still go to sleep at night. So Adderall definitely helped. My diagnosis helped me completely because I felt like when I was a child, there was something missing and something I needed in my brain that made me dopamine deficient. So as my journey has gone from childhood to pre-adulthood and on to motherhood, looking for a natural solution really has made my life so much better, I would say. And also, I feel like a better role model too. I'm not taking amphetamine salts, you know. I'm not taking some of the word amphetamine and realizing all these things like, you know, your skin doesn't look as good, and your hair doesn't look as good and stuff. And taking stuff that's natural just makes me feel better, to be honest. So I'm just excited. I'm very excited about this product. I'm excited to share it with the world because everybody needs a little extra focus and clarity in their life, whether they have ADHD or not. That's the biggest thing. You can always use it. There's things in life. Everybody has things they don't want to do. Paperwork. I know I don't like paperwork, but if I were to just take something and then be able to like get all that stuff done and be locked in without the anxiety of thinking about 8,000 other things, that's amazing. That's a great peace of mind right there. So that's it. Yeah.
So Maren, as a mother, and having already touched upon that, had you know, maybe had something like this when you were a child.
Yes.
Like I know a lot of parents really struggle with, you know, whether or not to put their child on Adderall.
Right.
I feel like children are being diagnosed with ADHD at a higher rate than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know Do we know why that is? Do we have?
I think it's society. I think it's just, the way school is forcing kids to do things that are really not in their comfort zone. You're forcing, there's certain kids that should be doing certain activities. I think we're teaching things that are not naturally for our survival. I think if we could teach our kids like natural stuff like, cooking and cleaning and that kind of stuff and little stuff instead of worrying about them spelling and spelling bees and doing tests and other kinds of stuff. I think the anxiety that comes along with all these testing and stuff. So maybe a little bit to the schools and just the way our society is. Internet, we're all a lot of kids addicted to the internet.
Yeah, the attention spans. They do say there is something about watching the internet and watching, and then all these even social media. I love my Instagram, but it's, they have algorithms to program us to have shorter attention spans so we can digest more.
Yes, which is not good for learning. And it's good for single serving learning, but it's not good for long lasting learning or memorization or anything like that. So I think that that's really been a huge thing. I'm glad that they're paying attention to it in girls though, because for girls to actually get a diagnosis for a long time, I mean, it took me until my 20s for them to think that there were different types of ADHD. Like there's the hyperactive, ones. There's the ones that's the daydreamers. It's the combination ADHD kids. There's all different types of ADHD you can have. And I was a dreamer, so I wasn't always loud. But then I was also trying to make myself feel better by being a class clown, so I did a combination of both. Now, having something to rein me in to keep me focused for longer times, that definitely helps. But taking amphetamine salts, I see it. I just taught I'm an art teacher, and I see when I work with some kids, I take very small groups. I like working in small groups. And one of my girls, my students, she's on an ADHD drug, and I can even just tell the way she talks. She's quieter and softer, more reserved. Like you could tell like her exuberance were, she would have from ADHD, being that type of personality, you get that more, you get a little more of that energy. But I feel like it's kind of softened her energy a little bit, which is interesting. And also the eating thing too, kids need to eat. They need they need that to survive, and they're not eating on all these drugs. And like I said, it's not healthy for their growth and development. So if you're going to take something that's natural, I'm all about that, especially for children,
And for parents who decide not to treat their child, out of concern of like, I don't want to give my child speed, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
I know a lot of parents do that. Yeah.
But then there's also been concerns that when the child becomes a little older, that they end up going and trying recreational drugs like speed, meth, something like that.
I think communication, keeping a communication open between parents and child and where you're at, and say, okay, we understand that you have these tendencies. Okay, mommy and daddy does. Too, this is how we handle it. This is how we work on it. Maybe try those cold plunging. Maybe I always say get these kids in a sport. The more you get them in active team sports, they're more likely to stay connected to a group of people in a positive way and learn positive traits, and as well as like, understanding what life is like to listen to a coach. So I think that also really, really does help a lot. But communicating with your kid and understanding where they're at and saying like, I'm drowning, Mom. I'm a freshman in high school. This is really overwhelming. I don't know what to do. And she's like, okay, well, just drink this herbal tea. Well, Mom, the herbal tea is not working for me anymore. I need to try something else. Looking for other avenues and keeping that communication open. I think that prevents the kids from going and trying recreational drugs because they're actually asking for help,
Yeah.
And they're not ashamed, because shame is a huge thing with ADHD and feeling really ashamed. So hiding who you are and going and doing recreational drugs is a big thing for people, because it's like I said, it's pretending that you're somebody else because you feel like you don't fit in this world. So talking about it. Yeah. My parents were in denial. I diagnosed them both when I got diagnosed, and they were like, no, I don't have it. I'm like, yeah, you do, in totally different ways. Like, but they were very defensive about that. And I was like, well, I understand Daddy had these traits and Mom's had these traits, but if we could learn how to talk about it better, it would have been, I think, easier on me. I wouldn't have felt maybe as ashamed. Maybe I would have. I don't know. But if I felt like it was more comfortable for me to talk about and accepted, I think that would be easier. but it's hard. I feel for parents out there trying to navigate parenting ADHD children in this age. Use as many resources as possible: meditation, yoga, breathing, any of those things help so much. But keeping them active, keeping them out the house, keeping them off their devices for long periods of time, that does help a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for someone going off their Adderall, you know, 25 years, and you talked about how long it took you earlier, but can we talk a little bit about like the process that you used for that? Because, you know, one of the dangers of that we, you know, and you and I have already discussed this, but is that we've seen within our community and our society that when people go really hard for plant medicine, they're anti-prescriptions, and they can just completely drop off of them. And there's dangers to that.
Yeah, so I didn't do that completely because I also take Lexapro. Oh, no, Celexa. I did used to take Lexapro. But I take that. I've been taking that for a long time. I took that through my pregnancy and everything. So I'm not going to completely go off my prescriptions. You know, I think that I still need something. So if that's okay, you know, maybe lower a dose or whatever and see how that is. But I still take one of my prescriptions. I'm just not taking my Adderall, which I think is okay. You know, you can balance it out. It's like, you know, you have a baby, you can give them formula and breastfeed at the same time. It's okay. You know, same thing. You can have your pharmaceuticals and take your probiotics and your turmeric and whatever, and it's okay. And your Verge or whatever, and just figure out balance. I mean, I take my one pharmaceutical med at night, and then I take my other natural ones in the morning. So, you know, just figuring that out. I also keep my meds in the refrigerator because when you have ADHD, you forget to take medication a lot too. So knowing that it's like, I open the fridge and I see them right there, like I will remember to take it. So that's also very helpful. Tricks for yourself. You have to, like, you know, it's a little game. You have to play little tricks for yourself. So yeah, I say do not do any of that cold turkey. You've had these meds in your body for a long time. You have to give your body the respect to learn how to ease its way out, you know, and transform into a new things that it needs. So don't do cold turkey, just do a smooth transition. And I think that'll work. And if not, just do both. It's okay. Just what works best for you. That's all that you need. You just have to figure out what works best.
Okay, babes, we are here with the founders of Verge, this magical plant medicine that we found now. And it's actually, what do we call it? It is a Maren Botanical. That's new.
Yeah, botanical from us was, we felt that no word that's being used today properly described the product. The nootropics world has been a big inspiration for a lot of what we've been doing with Verge, and biohacking, in our estimation, wasn't really a word as of about 10, 15 years ago anyway. So we saw this as a botanical extract with biohacking properties, and why not put this into an exclusive group with that word, because we feel there's nothing else out there that's like it.
Awesome, thank you. So Jory, this project is also a bit of a love story as well. Your beautiful wife, Maren, has been kind enough to tell us her story, her incredible story of being on Adderall for 25 years and really struggling with ADHD in a lot of ways. You know, I know there's a lot of memes and different things of making fun of ADHD online. I've definitely laughed at myself and my clutter piles and things, you know. But as a husband who, you know, loves his wife and sees her actually struggle with some of the less funny aspects of it, what was that like? And then what's this journey been like for you to be able to find something that's helped her so significantly?
You know, at first, like anybody else, like I'm your typical alpha brain, like just wired in a certain way. And so people who have ADHD, it's a completely different way of thinking. So for years, rather than trying to understand how Maren was thinking, it was just trying to convince her about how to be my way of thinking or something different, right? That, hey, here's a much better way because this is going to be logical and efficient. But I started to understand people who have ADHD, it's not their fault. They can't get to that part of their brain. They would love to be able to do that and access that, but unfortunately, it's just not possible. So that's when this started on the Verge journey, was oh my God, here are the unlocked possibilities. And I got to see a little of this tidbit of Maren, like, whoa, where's this logic coming from? Where's this planning come from? Where's this like forefront thinking? Where's this organization? And it was just in these little spurts. And so I got to see it. And it wasn't even like, hey, this could replace your Adderall or do something different. It was just, hey, try this, honey. You're going to be our guinea pig, and I hope this is okay. And I think this is going to be really beneficial, and yay. And, she's up for anything. And so she thought it was amazing, but we really didn't realize its potential relative to her ADHD until we got into maybe 12 to 18 months in the process, where it became, she was taking it every day. And then it was like, wow, this is really making me feel different. And then that, as a husband, you start noticing that. You start noticing, A, as your wife is a lot happier, but B, Maren's an artist. So, part of what she needs to do is be that kind of butterfly and fly and be creative and draw and just kind of let that flow. But part of the problem is somebody who has ADHD, when you let that happen, the logic just goes way out the window and the planning goes out the window, and then it makes it tough. That's what Verge was able to do for her, even better than any kind of man-made drug was this balance, allowing her to accomplish all the things that she wants to in her day, but not mute anything of herself, and be able to be the fun, silly, creative person that she is. Her art is just crushing it these days. She just illustrated a children's book. She's back teaching kids. So it's all the things that she's passionate about. And that's the beauty of being a husband, is you get to watch that kind of maturation happen over time. And it wasn't for any other reason but Verge. And it was like, wow, okay, honey, you're starting to lower your Adderall. Oh, are you sure about this? Are you really okay? Like, are we going to be okay? And then it was like, no, I'm going to do this. And every little bit, she started to lower the Adderall. And it was like, okay, this is really working. Until probably about 4 weeks ago. And she was like, hey, they couldn't feel my Adderall. It's been out. I know a lot of people probably have been going through the Adderall shortage. So they were out. And she's like, I'm going to give this a try. And she just loaded up on Verge. And like, we went 3 days and we didn't even talk about it. And next thing you know, I was like, did you ever get your Adderall? She was like, nope. I've been on Verge for the last 3 days. She was all smiley and happy. I'm like, oh my God. And this was right before we had a massive celebrity golf tournament that we were a part of. And she handled everything, making the boxes. She made 250 backpacks. She helped run the whole event. I mean, I think she drank 15 shots of Verge that day. But once again, by 10 p.m. that night, out cold, asleep, no effects like caffeine would have, like Adderall would have. And at that point, we were like, we can do this together. And at that point, she made that conscious decision. And we still, to this day, have not picked up her Adderall prescription, even though it's ready. And she's like, I don't ever want to do this again. I only want to be on Verge. And as a husband and as the founder, one of the founders, it's amazing to see. Because then you have that personal story. I get to see it every single day, where Verge in a multitude of ways helps her. Whether it's being creative, whether it's being focused, whether it's being the mental clarity. It could be we just need to take a drive to LA. And instead of having caffeine, she's taking a Verge. And then by the time we're there, she gets to rest and relax and not feel the negative effects of whatever happened. So it has been an amazing journey for me, not only just as this discovery of the product and how it's helped so many people, but literally every day I get to see my wife be a better version, as Matt says, of herself. And I mean, if that's not the most powerful thing you could have as a husband, then why are we married, right? To make your spouse better. So for me, that is probably the thing you can tell I get the most excited about, because I get to see a personal story on this journey, and get to see my wife as a better version, and then a better mom, better wife, better artist, better everything that she gets to do. So, and Matt, as is as intimately as involved in my family, because Matt is family, he gets all that benefit too. Because Maren is as part of Verge as we are. She, works as hard as Verge as we does. She believes in Verge as much, even probably not as more than Verge than we do, because it's changed her life. And so in that way too, it's helped Matt a lot as well, because as she's helping us with different things with Verge, she's a better version of herself too. So for all of us, it's been an incredible journey to see something personal. And that's the coolest thing about it, besides for just creating and helping other people.
And she's such a great example too, because in being somebody that suffers from ADHD, but also being an artist, you're typically using psychotropic drugs like Adderall, which oftentimes kind of minimize your creativity, make you a bit more binary, and absolutely change the way you feel and think. And to be able to work with a group of people like that, let them feel like they do when they're not on Adderall, but have access to the entirety of their brain, their creative side, their mathematical side, and everything, but still feeling 100% like themselves. To me, I don't know anything else that has that ability on the market. And I think at the end, that's really at the base why it's such a special product.
And you would think that would be the only story, oh, it's just Maren, your wife. We've heard hundreds of stories like this now come back to us in the trial phase, and then now since we've launched. So we know it's not by accident. And it's not just Maren who's feeling that. So that makes us feel really good too, is that you're out helping everybody else feel that same way that we see her feel every day.
And I know it myself. I mean, I'm a math guy. I'm a bit of a nerd at heart, but at the same time, when I'm on Verge, I get as creative as I can. I mean, I'm writing commercial voiceovers as a math guy last week, where that would have been a laughable scenario 2-3 years ago. So, we get to see it for people that suffer, but we get to see it for people that may not have those same afflictions. It still has the same effects, the same level of positivity. And I think that's really what I'd love to communicate to people, is as much as it helps for people that suffer from those afflictions, it has that same positive effect that you want for people that don't. And it really doesn't matter who you are. You can take this product, I think, and be able to access both sides of your brain and be able to use everything that you've stored up there as well as possible.
Well, it's like you said an example before, place your coffee. We have a lot of stories where people were like, and not that coffee's not great and it's, whatnot, but once again, there's some negative effects to caffeine in coffee as well. So in that way, we've had other people come back with just stories as simple as that, is I replace my coffee every day. And they're like, this is awesome. And I've been able to get away from that habit and I feel so much better about myself. And, like Matt said, something as simple as that.
So thank you guys so much for having me today. Really excited to be able to come and share another patient interview. What is next? What else do we get to find and discover from Verge? What are you discovering on our behalf?
Well, I think what we are discovering and will continue to discover is not on your behalf, but rather in conjunction with all of our consumers and everyone we work with. So that has been our number one goal from the beginning, was to make this a cooperative learning experience, a cooperative product experience, and really expand on that over the next 1 to 2 years. And that's going to be through our own research, from feedback from our consumers, from our scientists, and really getting a better understanding of how this product has positively affected people's lives. I mean, we're learning about new different autoimmune diseases. This is providing help with a variety of other afflictions that this has been, a lifespan for a lot of people. So I think for us, that's the thing we're most excited about. And the reason you can go on our website and get a free trial or get a small sample pack, we believe in the product, we know what it can do, and we want to get it in people's hands and hear what they have to say about it and share their experiences with us.
What's the best way for people to be able to share their experiences?
They can come to our website, tryverge.com, or Instagram at tryverge. Communicate directly with us on either platform. We run it ourselves. Everything is us, no chat bots, no anything like that. We look at this as something that if we don't have our finger to the pulse of our consumers, we're not going to do the best job in helping make this something what it deserves to be.
Are you ready to try Verge? Get your free sample at tryverge.com. Or is it time to re-up? Save 10% with code CBB. Are you interested in having your brand or business featured on a Cannabis Babes podcast episode? Please email or DM. We'd be happy to hear from you.